Breaking news. Earlier today, 5 a.m., President Jovenel Moise has been assassinated. The president of Haiti has been assassinated at 1 a.m. in the morning. 1 a.m. in the morning. This is his final tweet that he had tweeted out 2 days ago. He said, "I have appointed citizen Ariel Henry to the post of Prime Minister. He will have to form an open government, including the forces of the nation, resolve the glaring problem of insecurity, and support the CEP in carrying out the general elections and the referendum." 2 days ago, Jovenel Moise appointed Ariel Henry to be the Prime Minister of Haiti. So Ariel Henry is going to be the Prime Minister of Haiti, but there's already a Prime Minister, Claude Joseph. Now, Claude Joseph is the one who's actually going to tell everybody in a statement that Jovenel Moise was assassinated. So what's actually going on here? So let's get into the details of the assassination. So you have these assassins. You got a handful of men. It's not clear, but maybe 5 different men, maybe 20 different men. He's going to get shot in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, Wednesday, at his home, 1 o'clock in the morning, just 5 hours ago. His wife got shot in the arm. He's going to get shot dead. He's dead and gone, but his wife only got injured, and she's being treated at the hospital. Jovenel Moise's private residence is above the hills of Port-au-Prince, Pelerin 5. Pelerin 5, apparently. Jovenel Moise, who is 53 years old, he lives in Pelerin 5. It's a neighborhood just above the hills in the capital. Some of the unidentified assailants had spoke Spanish. There's drones. There was drones being used. There's men dressed in black. And I don't know, the race of these people. I would assume they're probably black folks. 99% of the country are black folks. So they're speaking Spanish. I don't know. I mean, this could be a gang hit. There's the Dominican Republic. They speak Spanish, but a lot of Haitians speak, 2 or 3 languages. If you go to the Dominican Republic, they speak Spanish on the opposite end of the island, so it just kind of seems like it would be an obvious, natural sort of, second language to learn. So some of them spoke Spanish. Maybe that could be some CIA shit, right? Just get, some of their assassination program, have them speak Spanish, have them say they're the DEA, but it also sounds like something a gang could do regardless. Either way you look at it, this is professional. This is super duper professional. So if it is a gang, it's a very professional gang, and if it's not a gang, it seems like it's CIA, CIA level kind of shit. On the videos, people are heard saying, there's social media posts about the people that's running around. They're heard saying, "Put down your weapons. This is the DEA." And I'm not for sure, is that like an actual fear in Haiti to be arrested by the DEA? Does the U.S. DEA go into other people's country and say, "Hey, this is the DEA or whatever, put down your..." Jovenel Moise, he's the head of the state and the government. He's shot dead. The Prime Minister, the old Prime Minister is Claude Joseph. Claude Joseph is the one that told us that he just got shot dead. Who has the most to gain? Claude Joseph has the most to gain out of this because he just lost his job. You just had a brand new Prime Minister that was appointed, and so he just lost his job. So he's got, Claude, my number one suspect is Claude Joseph. That would be the guy that I would question very first. He's the one that, it's like LBJ. JFK got shot. LBJ became the president. So now that Jovenel Moise is shot dead, well, the highest level, the highest person in government would be your Prime Minister. And now there's a question of who is the Prime Minister? The one that Jovenel Moise appointed? Yes, it's Ariel Henry. Ariel Henry is the Prime Minister. It is not Claude Joseph. Claude Joseph is not the Prime Minister. It is Ariel Henry. So the First Lady, Martine Moise, she was wounded. She's being treated. Jovenel, however, was shot and killed. Not her. I think that's a little weird. It almost sounds like that's an assassin who is worried about the PR of the kill, the press relations. Got to make sure this looks good. Can't shoot both of them. Make sure the wife lives and just shoot him. So it's professional, precise contract killing. It's a brazen, gang. Maybe just a brazen fucking gang, but it seems like it's some high-level assassination program, kind of CIA-level shit. And some were some were speaking Spanish, some were shouting DEA, some were speaking Spanish. So if the CIA did have their assassination program going in Haiti, having them shout, shit in Spanish and having them shout the DEA, I think it'd be actually brilliant to, have them shout something like that, the opposite that they are, right? Hell, just shout out CIA, right? The CIA wouldn't have them shouting this. That couldn't be them. Impossible. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Maybe it's barbecue, right? That Jimmy Cherry Jimmy barbecue. Maybe barbecue did this, right? Barbecue. So men in black are running, throughout his neighborhood, Paralyn 5, wherever that's at in Port-au-Prince. Men in black are running throughout the neighborhood, which reminds me of that California shooting, the San Bernardino shooting. You had men in black that were just running around for seemingly no reason until the blood began to pour, right? Just a bunch of men in black, just, clad in all black. What are y'all doing, you fucking, pretending to be, goddamn ninjas or something? So I'm very sad about this. I like Jovenel Moise. He's only been president for one term. I like reading his tweets when they were in Creole. The president's Creole. Remember I warned him about the IMF. I also said, hey, write some more tweets in Creole, but the last 12 tweets, all of them were in French. I like Jovenel Moise. He's a handsome black man. He seemed to care for Haiti. He didn't step down from the presidency because he said that would leave a vacuum. If he's not the president, then who is? You have to have somebody to replace him, right? So he's supposed to step down, but that would be irresponsible. That's what Jovenel Moise said. Jovenel Moise said that it would be irresponsible for him to step down from the presidency when there's nobody to replace him. And he's absolutely right about that. If he wasn't the president, then who is? Well, we're going to try to figure that out now. Now it's going to be an absolute fucking shit show. From an outside perspective, I cannot tell if Jovenel Moise was a man of the people or if he was a dictator. I've read both sides. Jovenel Moise, handsome black man. He posted a bunch of stuff on Twitter. Learning the president's Creole was probably the best way to learn Creole. I remember one of his campaign ads, he was driving a tractor, that, the Tet Kale party, right? The bald-headed party. So, you had Michael Martelly, then you had him, right? Two bald presidents right in a row, but that bald-headed, black man, this time you actually had a black man driving a tractor. I just, how humble, how absolutely humble, and how relatable. A small, skinny politician. Seemed like he cared. It seemed like he gave a shit. Now, he's dead. He's, shot and dead. His wife has been shot in the arm. The assailants claim to be agents of the U.S. DEA administration. Now, that's according to the videos taken by the people in the area of the president's home. So that'd be interesting to see some of these videos. Now, these were definitely professionals. A high-ranking Haitian government official had said that they were mercenaries. And there were residents who reported that they heard high-powered rounds fired with precision. High-powered rounds fired with precision. Poof, poof, poof. Like a sniper rifle. High-powered rounds fired, so that's slow and thoughtful shooting, right? Not just indiscriminate pow, 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 but poof, 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 poof. He was killed in his own home, and she was shot in the arm, which seems weird, but did they get into his house, or they shoot from the window or some shit? So they got high-powered rounds, so they got, some incredible weaponry, men dressed in black running through the neighborhood. There's a grenade that went off, and then there were drones. So, barbecue, you think barbecue's got some drones being used? I don't know. I think that there's a lot of money that's behind this, and it could be anybody, right? Any and everybody is a suspect until you figure out who did it. Maybe it was Lee Harvey Oswald. Maybe it was some rich plutocrat or oligarch up in, Cap Haitian or some shit. Or maybe it was the CIA, but it was high level, and it was, professional. So it could just be some fucking gang just trying to make their, trying to get into the government, the world of government. And, if that was their plan, then Jesus Christ. So, in a way, I want to know who the fuck did it, who's behind this shit. And then I want to, see how they rectify the two prime ministers. Now, it looks like there's two prime ministers because you have that Claude Joseph that just said the president was assassinated. But the president just said that Claude Joseph is not the prime minister. The president gets to dictate whoever he wants to be the prime minister. He's picked 6 other prime ministers before, so he knows how to do it. There's no parliament. Parliament's dissolved. So Jovenel Moise said Ariel Henry. Ariel Henry is the prime minister. So Claude Joseph shouldn't be making statements or this or that. Claude Joseph, if he's innocent, needs to get with Ariel Henry, and Ariel Henry needs to make a statement saying that, he's the prime minister and that, Claude Joseph, he's okay with that, so there won't be a divided government, so the people of Haiti can still coalesce to one government figure. It should be Ariel Henry. Now, part of me thinks that Claude Joseph had the most to gain, which he did, and so it just seems so damned obvious. It's, like LBJ, right? If JFK is shot, then LBJ becomes president. So, they just made a new prime minister, and he's like, what the hell, man, and thought maybe this is the way out. I think that whoever killed him, I think this is going to be, it's going to backfire. I think Jovenel Moise is going to be immortal now. He's going to be, forever young or forever immortal 53-year-old president. I think that the Haitian people are going to absolutely love Jovenel Moise, and you're just going to have an outpouring of love and support, and you should have, politicians who pick up his baton, pick up his bloody shirt, and put it on and say, I'll finish what Jovenel Moise wanted to do. What did he want? Electricity and internet and water for the people of Haiti? So I don't know if that's a fear in Haiti to be arrested by the USDEA. USDEA! I don't know if that's a CIA just being tricky or if it's some gang. It seems to me, if I was a betting man, I would put my money on Claude Joseph. Claude Joseph had something to do with it. Claude Joseph is the one that's, just got replaced as the prime minister. He's jealous. He doesn't want to see him get replaced, and he didn't want to see all that power that he had go to waste, so he had all the power, and right before he lost all that power, he used, whatever remaining bit of power that he had left in order as a last-ditch effort to stay in power. That's a theory. That's me speculating. The president's death will definitely throw Haiti into a further disarray. Jovenel Moise had faced mounting protest over his governance amid a deepening political and constitutional crisis, questions about his legitimacy, and accusations that he used armed gangs to remain in power. In his statement, Claude Joseph had condemned what he described as an odious, inhuman and barbaric act, and he called a special security meeting savage, right? I've actually heard somebody, trying to be first fucking lady, oh, savage. So, as a compliment, right? Odious, inhuman, barbaric. I could see somebody, like bragging about that, right? That motherfucker was odious. That motherfucker was inhuman and barbaric. Claude Joseph has called on the population to remain calm. It's an odious. Odious means it's an act deserving of hatred and repugnance. The security situation in the country is under control of the Haitian National Police and the Haitian Armed Forces. The statement by Claude Joseph had said, that's smart, that makes sense, the Haitian Police, the Haitian Armed Forces. So hopefully Claude Joseph has nothing to do with this. Hopefully, just happened and these are just a few names that are floating around. But Claude Joseph would have been the old outgoing prime minister who would have had, the biggest motive in the world. He wasn't going to get power. Jovenel Moise named a brand new prime minister a day ago. 1 day ago, he just named a new prime minister, and then that next night he gets shot and killed. He gets assassinated. So I feel like to assume that it is directly connected to Ariel Henry being named the prime minister and Claude Joseph losing that power, I think that's clear as day. That's clear as day that could very well have a strong implication if that's not the actual motive. Like I said, it's speculation. I also think Suge Knight, that would be my leading suspect for the killing of Tupac. Do I know if he did it or not? I don't know. But it certainly seems like it to me. Who else? I mean, he's my leading suspect. So Ariel Henry was just appointed, not nominated, appointed to take charge as the head of government, prepare the country for the next elections. You heard his little speech. He wanted, Ariel Henry to go ahead and get the forces of the nation, right, the police and the armed forces, to form an open government and to resolve the glaring problem of insecurity, support the CEP in carrying out the general elections and the referendum. That sounds like a good president. That's a president saying, I want Ariel Henry to be the prime minister to get these elections going, to form an open government with the forces of the nation. It sounds, it all sounds kosher to me. It sounds like it's on the up and up. It sounds like Jovenel Moise is just trying to run Haiti. He's just trying to run Haiti, you motherfuckers, and you motherfuckers won't let him. So Ariel Henry just was appointed prime minister for the next 2 months. Let's see. You got elections, not for president, but also a brand new parliament and local government officials. So you need to have a massive election, not just for president, but for all the positions. Jovenel Moise entered office in 2017, and he's been ruling by decree since January 2020. There hasn't been any new elections, and so the parliament has dissolved. And he has been ruling by decree, so you could say he's a dictator, totalitarian dictator, but he could be benevolent. Now, people are saying he's a tin-pot tyrant, that, the extension of his presidential term was February, and he's extending it, but he says, no, I got elected for a 5-year term. That's the Constitution, so he still has another year. And I think he's right about that. I'll give, a point for Jovenel Moise. Is he a tin-pot dictator? Is he a tin-pot tyrannical extraordinaire? I don't know. It could go either way, right? He could be a man. That's actually a conversation for every president. Is he a man of the people? Is he corrupt? It depends on who you are, right? Did he help you out? Did your life get better during his, tenure or not? So I believe he hasn't served his full 5 years yet. There's a lot of different interests. People are always saying he needs to get kicked out. The parliament dissolved without elections, so there is no people's body, right? That would just be like the president without a Congress. So he is running by decree, but he's the rightful president constitutionally, and he, would be the rightful president until February 2022. That means Jovenel Moise still had 8 months to be the president. Still 8 months was left in his term. 1 point against him was that he had the support of the United Nations and the United States and the Organization of American States. This is a point against him because, first of all, that would be crazy to think that, somebody that the U.S. supported, the U.S., did a kill order. Maybe that's a perfect cover, right? The day after the new prime minister is appointed and kill the president, then the brand new prime minister becomes the president. Right, Ariel Henry, he's the new president, right? So I say that this is a point against him because it doesn't make any sense for the CIA or the U.S. to take out somebody that they liked. And if they liked him, well then, maybe the people didn't like him. If he's got all these, major actors, Haiti's a very poor country, so, who the hell are all these assholes that sitting there saying that he's such a great guy when a lot of his people are not? So I don't know. I don't know what the people of Haiti actually believe. I see protests, for and against, but I don't know the general feeling across. There's no way to do a polling sample across the country to see for sure. But now there's 2 prime ministers, right? Ariel Henry or Claude Joseph. Claude Joseph is making the announcement like he fucking just did the damn thing. Propaganda the deed. Ariel Henry. Now, Ariel Henry, what did Ariel Henry just got in there? And so I want to hear Claude Joseph say Ariel Henry is the right and proper prime minister of Haiti. If not, I could kind of see, a civil war maybe happening between Ariel Henry and Claude Joseph. And maybe the United Nations and the U.S. will have to intervene, right? The president just got assassinated. So maybe that was the pretense for the U.S. invasion this time. Not the, mythical weapons of mass destruction, but the assassination program So Ariel Henry was Jovenel's final wish, his final will, the 7th prime minister. He's picked 6 prime ministers before him, so he knows what he's doing. He knows how he gets to choose who gets to be the prime minister. He tried to get some prime ministers in there. The parliament had stopped him, and it's just too fucking it just seems too goddamn obvious. One day after a brand new prime minister was named, Ariel Henry, you're the prime minister. Pow, 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 pow. Huh. Maybe it has something to do with Ariel Henry being named the prime minister? Maybe it was the old prime minister who's announcing this shit? I don't know. Just seems so goddamn obvious. The old prime minister announcing that the president's dead. You know, it's 1 in the fucking morning, and he's like, oh, calling the goddamn media at 3 in the morning. So, I don't know enough about, you know, Haitians to say that it could be one person over another person. All I'm saying is that it just seems like the most likely culprit to me would be Claude Joseph, because he's got the most to gain. He gets to keep his prime minister chair. He just lost his chair, but now he can make the argument that Ariel Henry, well, he wasn't actually confirmed by the parliament. He actually didn't go through the process, and therefore Claude Joseph is still the prime minister, in spite of him not being the prime minister. But he's got an argument. And so I got to hear Claude Joseph say, Ariel Henry is the prime minister. We're working together in this, you know, stay calm and this and that. But I've got to hear Claude Joseph say that Ariel Henry is the brand new prime minister, and that he recognizes that he is no longer the prime minister, and that, or you know, something else I would accept, a kind of dual sharing, a power sharing sort of 2 presidents. Both Ariel Henry and Claude Joseph both get to be the president until, you know, the brand new elections, which is supposed to be coming in a couple months. Maybe the U.S. should just fucking invade and get the elections, going in the next 3 months, and just get people elected, right? Get this shit fucking, God, this shit show. This is, poor Haiti. So who is Ariel Henry? He's a respected neurosurgeon. I want to say he's in the Seventh-day Adventist, some kind of Christian. He charted the country's public health response to the deadly cholera epidemic, which, you know, thanks a lot, United Nations. As the latest prime minister, the de facto in which Henry, 71, got the job, there's been no parliament since January 2020, and Jovenel Moise, ruling by decree, did not seek a political agreement. For making the appointment may not help tamp down Haiti's increasingly volatile political and constitutional crisis, nor may his selection, he is Moise's 7th prime minister, and that of a new cabinet be enough to address the mounting humanitarian crisis prompted by a surging wave of violence by armed gangs. Already behind an alarming spike in kidnappings, the gangs' fights over territory and money have forced the displacement of thousands of Haitians from poor, working-class Port-au-Prince neighborhoods since last month. A recent report shared with a disarmament group working with the United Nations said that in the Port-au-Prince metropolitan area alone, there are 162 criminal gangs with 3,000 members. So there's already 160 fucking gangs, 3,000 gangsters, you know, running around all over the place. Guns are banned in Haiti, so really nobody should have guns but the police and the military. It is kind of crazy that there's been 7 prime ministers since Jovenel Moise came to office in 2017. In the 4 years, you've had 7 prime ministers in 4 years. So if he got his, you know, Ariel Henry, I think Ariel Henry replaces Claude Joseph. He was appointed in April this year, right? 2 months after Moise had been ruling by executive order. Who else is there? It's Ariel Henry. Ariel Henry replaced Claude Joseph. Claude Joseph is not the prime minister. Ariel Henry is the prime minister. And maybe you just have a goddamn election just between them 2. Right now. Jovenel Moise unsuccessfully spent a year trying to get 2 different prime ministers through Parliament. The lower chamber of deputies fired the prime minister, Jean-Henri Siant, on May 18th last year. In a tweet, Jovenel Moise announced the appointment on Monday. He said that Ariel Henry will have to form an open government capable of solving the glaring problem of insecurity and support the Provisional Electoral Council for the realization of general elections and the referendum. So there's a referendum, there's general elections. This is, he's setting up a democracy. Jovenel Moise sounds like there's good and bad things, but he just sounds like a president doing some presidenting until he got assassinated. And if that was his enemies, doing that, that's going to backfire. That's going to backfire big time against him. We don't want to see that kind of shit. You get the election and you win fair and square through an election. But then again, what he says, right, there's constitutional crisis, but we got to get, I guess, to the bottom of it, because Jovenel Moise says that his term ended February 7th, 2022. His term ends next year, not this year, next year. So the presidency is 5 years. If that's the case, just read, Haiti's constitution. If it says that the president gets a 5-year term, then Jovenel Moise was absolutely correct. He's been in office for 4 years and 5 months. He still had another 7 or 8 months left to go. Now, it does seem like it's a big coincidence that the OAS political mission urged Haiti to appoint a new prime minister and cabinet no later than mid-July. That prime minister, the report noted, should be somebody who enjoys broad support of the Haitian people. So it does seem very ironic that the OAS says, hey, get a new prime minister is picked, and then bam, 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 2 shots in the dark, and now Huey's dead. So R.I.P. Jovenel Moise. From an outsider's perspective, I like Jovenel Moise. He seemed like he was just trying to handle, his business, trying to run his country's affairs. And if there are armed gangs and shit, he sent in a bunch of government cops and military, and then they got slaughtered. They got fucking killed. So it wasn't like, he wasn't doing anything. It's kind of, what do you do? And you have to get more people, to be willing to go into those areas. Barbecues, well, I don't know. Barbecue seemed nice. I bet you, I don't know. But, yeah, I think Jovenel was doing his damnedest. I think Jovenel was trying. He did have another 8 months to go, and I think he would have got those elections up and running. So now that this shit had happened, Jesus Christ, this is not something that Haiti did not need this whatso-fucking-ever. Haiti did not need this whatso-fucking-ever at all. At all. This is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy. Let's be honest. So R.I.P. Jovenel Moise. R.I.P. Hopefully Haiti